Before we pass the word, we would like to formally introduce our friend. Guilherme Velho is a writer, businessman, and an international Spiritist speaker. He began his Spiritist activity in the 80s with the St. Francis Spiritist group in Brazil. He has been giving Spiritist lectures surrounding his area of research on life after death and the communicability of spirits. He is the author of the book Psychography, Investigated Cases, in which he reviews his research and the psychography of mediums. With no further ado, we pass the word to our dear friend so he can talk with us tonight.
Hi, everyone. Peace for you all. I'm glad to be here for the first time. Yesterday, I spoke in Virginia. I went to Spiritist Society of Virginia, and I had a great time. And they're doing a great job down there. And today, I spent the night at Daniel's house. We had black beans and rice. I feel like home. Well, but today, we're going to talk about psychography, which means channeling through writing. And I've been traveling and visit many Spiritist centers here in America. I've been to many states. I think I've been speaking almost everywhere. I've been Florida, New York City, Dallas, Hawaii, and I've been many places. And I'm very impressed how you guys doing, taking our Spiritism here in America. You're doing a great job. Well, I did not come to Spiritism through pain like most of you. I got interested and for the research and out of curiosity. And I became a Spiritist by conviction, not by belief. And I did not come to the Spiritism 5 years ago. Well, it was like 20 years ago. And I've been studying. For a long time, I had been working on researching the phenomena. And I was very interested in psychography, channeling through writing, which is the title of my book, which is the theme of tonight. And I'll talk about psychography, investigate cases. That's the name of the book in Portuguese. So if somebody speaks Portuguese, we'll be able to read. Otherwise, I gotta wait until I release the English versions. But before we talk about psychography, we're going to have a deal with mediumship and communication between the living and the dead. We cannot speak about psychography without first talking about mediumship. And we gotta have a conversation. The curious thing is that many people believe that mediumship was discovered by the Spiritism, but it's not true. The mediumship has always existed and has been part of all religions all over the world. Yes. And if you go to India, 3,200 years before Jesus, on the banks of Indus River, we're going to find the figure of Krishna, the exponent of Hinduism, and reading his sacred books, the Mahabharata and the Upanishads, we're going to find information about the communication between the living and the dead, from the beginning to the end. The Mahabharata is a real big book. It's about 1.5 meters. I'm using my North Carolina accent. And one chapter of the Mahabharata is the Bhagavad Gita. the sound of the Lord. It's the dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna. Many Spiritist centers in Brazil has that book. It's a fine book. And it tells the communication between the living and the dead. In India also, 650 years before Jesus was born, another figure called Siddhartha Gautama Buddha, which is the Buddhism representative. And in November 2015, I had the opportunity to go to Japan with my friend Haroldo Dutra Dias, and we went to the 5th Symposium of Spiritism in Japan. And I didn't know much about Buddhism. And I asked a friend, a Brazilian friend who's living in Japan, if in the Buddhism there's communication between the living and the dead. And he said that in Buddhism they don't have so much communication. But he said that there's communication. Yes, there's a communication. And he took me to a Buddhist temple over there. And he said, the last stage, 21 becomes a lama. They have to communicate with the oracles, the spirits, and ask them if the soul of that man is the reincarnation of the past lama. When they prove that the man is the reincarnation of the past lama, he becomes a lama. So in Buddhism, there's also communication between the living and the dead. Not like the Spiritism, like we know, but they do too, this communication. What about the great Masaharu Taniguchi, the creator of Seisho no Ye? When we read his books and we see this communication from the beginning to the end, it's so natural. All this at the Eastern culture, they believe in the communication between the living and the dead. And Lao Tzu, like you were showing here the picture a few minutes ago, was the exponent of the Tao Te Ching. We also see this communication between the living and the dead. Back to India in the last century came the figure of Satya Sai Baba, which who died a few years ago, and he lived in a village called Puttaparthi on the banks of Chitravati River, and he believes and he talks about this communication. So this communication has always existed in all religions. When we take a look at the Indian tribes here, the tribes culture, we see the pajé. The pajé, the shaman. The pajé is the median of the tribe, the one who talks with the divinity, and see the spirits, the Aztecs, the Mayans. They all had the shamans to talk to the spirits. So this communication has always existed in every culture. And if we get here in the Western culture, which the holy book is the Bible, we will find the communication between the living and the dead from the beginning until the end of the Bible. Beginning with the Old Testament, in the book of Deuteronomy, when Moses forbids the communication with the dead, I cannot put a sign here in the Spirit Center saying that it's forbidden to bath on swimming pool. Because here there's no swimming pool. So why do they what Daniel's gonna put a sign here saying that We're not allowed to go in the swimming pool because there's no swimming pool. So if Moses forbidden, it's because they used to do it. So we are agree. The dead can communicate. No one can deny it because he forbidden. And when you go to New Testament, Jesus came and released this communication. When he materialized at Mount Tabor, Elijah and Moses, who came from the world of the dead and stayed with them for 2 weeks. And Jesus said, you can do what I do, and you can do more than I do. So Jesus said that and released this communication at the Mount Tabor. If Jesus had not come back resurrected from the world of the dead, the Christianity would have died on the cross. And in the New Testament, Matthew calls Jesus the Lord of the spirits. Jesus helped obsessed people. And the birth of Jesus was announced to Mary by a spirit communication by the angel Gabriel, who announced that she was pregnant with Jesus. It was a spiritual phenomenon. Let me get some water, because I'm talking too much. And I need to drink some water. What about the night of Pentecost? The tongues of the fire events. Religions cannot explain the phenomenon until today. And we have the Pentecostal churches. Why this name? Because they are based on the belief of the Pentecostal event, which was the night that the Spirit spoke to the tongues of the fire. Those events were incredible mediumistic phenomena that the apostle, they received superior spirits, and they spoke several languages. A curious fact, there's a German theologian who said that Jesus could not have existed, because he said that if Jesus had existed as a son of God and came to earth to build his kingdom, he would not choose 12 apostles without culture, fishermen. He would choose people to influence, to introduce his kingdom on earth. But he doesn't know about Spiritism. And I almost sent him an email to say it, because Jesus did not look the intellect. Jesus chose mediums. It was the mediumship that was necessary for the introductions of Jesus' plan on earth. So he doesn't want to be someone very intelligent. He really wanted mediums to do the job. It was a tough job. Mediumship gave courage to the apostles. Before the night of Pentecost, all the apostles were timid and cold. Peter denied Jesus 3 times. But after the night of Pentecost, they were touched by the mediumistic phenomenon. They developed courage and bravery. They all died tragically. Peter, who denied Jesus 3 times, when he went to die, he said, I do not have the honor to die as the Lord. I want to be crucified upside down. You see? See how brave he was? The rest of them had tragic deaths, singing the glories of the Lord. See how mediumship was important for the construction of Christianity? In the Catholic Church, the mediumistic phenomenon has always existed. Giordano Bruno, a Catholic priest, stayed 3 nights on a pole in February year 1600. One of the reasons of Giordano Bruno's death was because he believed in communication between the living and the dead. Also, Joan of Arc, the greatest phenomenon in history, that heard voices from St. Catherine and St. Philip. When she was 17 years old, she heard a voice saying, "You will save France from England domination." I think I've got her picture here. Here you go. You can turn off a little bit the light. So, Joan of Arc, 17 years old. And because she used to say, "My voice comes from God." When she was 17 years old, she was inside of a horse with a flag written by Jesus, by God, Jesus, and Mary. Because France was invaded by England for over 100 years, and the French people used to say that the sword of St. Catherine that had been missing for almost 200 years had to be found so France could be free. You can turn on the light. You can do it. So Joan of Arc went looking for the sword. The voice told her where it was, and she found it. It was missing for almost 200 years. The voice told everything, said everything. Following the directions of the voice, she found the sword. On the top of a horse, she received all the instructions for the battles. With a very little army, very small army, the voice did everything. Joan of Arc used it to say, "My voice comes from God." And she won the war. And France got free. But Joan of Arc had 3 enemies. The first one was England, because a woman who won the war. So for England, they didn't believe on that. They lost a war for a woman on that time. Yeah. Right now, not on that time. And the second enemy of Joan of Arc, the king of France. Because the people used to say to the king, "Hey, you are the king, but she's the queen because she's the one who won the war." So the kingdom didn't like Joan of Arc because of that. And the third enemy was the Catholic Church. Because the figure of the Pope, the figure of the Pope is the general pastor of God on earth. It's a tremendous authority. It's the God representative on earth. It is until today. And she used to say, "My voice comes from God." And the people used to say to the Pope, "There's a woman who doesn't know how to read, how to write, who listens voice from God, and you are a God representative in earth and doesn't know anything?" And they tried to talk to Joan of Arc so he can stop to saying that. She said, "I can't stop saying that because my voice comes from God." They tried to buy. They tried to give money. I said, I can receive because my voice comes from God. And then they took Joan of Arc into the fire of Inquisition. When someone had to go to the Inquisition, to the fire, they used to have parties. But when Joan of Arc went into the fire, it was a huge silence. But when the fire started burning, she screamed, "A crucifix to kiss." There was 3 priestesses by her side. No one gave her a crucifix. A man who was walking, passing by, went close to the fire. He got his crucifix, came behind the fire and put here. And when the fire started burning high, very high, they heard a voice saying, "My voice comes from God." The Bishop Chinon, who signed the judgment, says a sentence that went down to history. "I think we killed a saint." 500 years later, the Catholic Church recognized that was wrong and made a mistake and canonized Joan of Arc. Because it's not interesting for the church to say that the dead can communicate, because this can disrupt the process of domination of the masses. To have the pastor, we got to have the flock of believers. But if the believers learn about those things, they will not need the pastor. Huh? That's why they don't tell us about those things. That's why. It's not interesting to them to tell that the dead can communicate. Who knows the most organized Protestant church? Who knows? Nobody knows? I'll tell later, because before I'm going to show you something very interesting that I found 10 years ago. I've heard about a museum that Catholic Church has a secret sacred museum, which was created in the 19th century to legitimize the purgatory. In Kardec time, many dead priestesses and dead nuns were coming back and communicating and asking for prayers. Those events caught the attention of the church. Imagine that the person spent all his life in church as a priest, and after that, the person comes to ask for prayers. So that must be wrong. Where were they? In heaven or in hell? If they were coming back asking for prayers, was not such a thing as heaven. They were in hell. So the Catholic Church, they decided to create the purgatory, because the purgatory, the priests were there asking for prayer. We pray, they go up. So now the Catholic Church promotes the purgatory, which always existed before, but they promote on that time. But so the Catholic Church decides to found a church called the Church of Sacred Heart of Suffrage. And it's very close to the Vatican. It's about a mile, less than a mile, I think. It's very close to the Pope's home. And inside the church, on the left side of the altar, there is a door, like this one here. And inside, behind the door, there's a museum. They call the Museum of the Soul of Purgatory. This museum keeps records of apparitions of dead priestesses and nuns in Catholic settings. Those are spiritual phenomena which happen inside the church with the priest, with priests and nuns. There are more than 270 pieces. In the 19th century, street priests walked many countries around Europe, getting those pieces that proves the communications between the living and the dead inside of Catholic setting. There's a case of a nun who used it to communicate with a dead nun. And the living nun thought it was a dream. To make sure it was not a dream, the dead nun printed her hand in her clothes, burning the clothes with fire. Left her hand over here. You're going to see the mark here. And another priest also communicated with the dead brother, which printed his hand on the table, burning the table. And another priest, whose brother is also a priest, came from the dad's word, asking for prayers. And the living priest had left the church, and the dead priest, his brother, told him to go back to church. And he printed his hand on the Bible, burning 9 pages. This material is in this museum, and it's closed to the public. It's a secret museum. Many priests, most of priests, nuns, and bishops never heard about it. And in September 2017, last year, I went to Milan, Italy, to release my book. And after Milan, we were supposed to go to come to Florida. But because that hurricane that we had last year, they canceled my trip. I didn't come to Florida. And I had to go back to Brazil. But they sent us to Rome. And I was traveling with my ex-girlfriend, who is very, very, very Catholic. Then we had to go back to Brazil, but we stayed in Rome for 3 days. When we arrived in Rome, she was very excited because she's so Catholic. She said, "Oh, I'm so happy because I want to go to the Vatican. I want to see the Pope. I want to go to the churches, all the churches." She said about 5 or 6 cents that I never heard about it. "I want to go all those churches." And I said to her, "I want to go to the Church of Sacred Heart of Suffrage." She looked at me and said, "What? What church is this?" She looked at me, "What church is this?" I never heard about it. "Aren't you a Spiritist?" I said, "Why do you want to go to this church, Guilherme? What's there in this church?" She asked me. I just said, "Trust me. Trust me. I'm not doing anything wrong." On Saturday morning, we went to the church, and it was closed, but I saw a sign saying that it will be open tomorrow on Sunday. In celebration of the church centennial, which was destroyed in a fire in 1889, they had to build it again, and they reopened it in 17th of September 1917. We got there 100 years later on 17th of September 2017. Exactly 100 years. I said, "Hey, I've got to be there. I've got to get inside of this museum and take the picture and film everything to show the world that the Catholic knows about this communication. I'm a researcher, and I have to do it." One curious thing happened after putting out the fire. They looked to the altar and appeared a figure of a tormenting soul on the altar marble. Some marble stone, very big. They believed that it was a communication of purgatory. Today, the figure is protected behind this furniture, kind of Madonna, a wood furniture in front of it. So they cannot see. There's 2 doors. You got to open the door and to see it. And I told my girlfriend that on Sunday, it's going to have two masses. And the first one is starting at 9, and the second one at 10. I said, I want to come in both masses. And she said, in both masses? And I said, in both masses. What's going on, Guilherme? What are you hiding? Nothing. I said, nothing. Because I could not tell her. She was very Catholic. And they had created this museum to prove purgatory. But proving the purgatory, they are also proving the communication between the living and the dead. Right? They're proving this communication. So I was there. I have to go there. And we did it. But my girlfriend said, I'm feeling like you are going to do something wrong. I said, come on, there's nothing wrong. And we sat down, and the mass starts. We sat just on the back. We sat over there. We stayed there, watching the mass. But so an interesting thing was going on. The priest was going to the bathroom every 10 minutes. And I don't know I didn't know what's going on. If it was a stomach problem or anything else, I didn't know what's going on. But he was back and forth about 5 or 6 times. Then I saw a possibility of getting inside of the museum. And my girlfriend asked, what there's inside of this museum, Guilherme? And I had to tell the truth. I'm a spiritist, I can't lie. I got to tell the truth. And I had to tell the truth, and I told everything. And I said, I have to get inside, honey. I have to get inside. I'm a researcher, you know that. I have to do it. And she said, but the priest is there. How are you going to get inside? I said, let's wait for the next mass. When the priest goes to the bathroom again, I will run to the museum. She said, my boyfriend is crazy. I've got a crazy boyfriend, and I didn't know that. I put a gun on my mouth, and I was very nervous. You know? And the second mass started, and when the priest went to the bathroom, I ran straight to the museum. When I put my hands on the door, it was open. I said, showtime. And I opened the door, and I got inside with my self-stick and my telephone, and I started taking pictures of everything. Using my self-stick, I took the pictures of the 270 pieces. And my heart was going fast. My body was shaking. I went to the door to see if the priest was coming, and I came back. He didn't, and I was feeling like doing a movie, a mix of Indiana Jones with Harry Potter. And I came to the door, and I saw that the priest was coming, and I went back, and I sit down close to my girlfriend, and I finished. And I came and I sit next to her. And she asked me, did you do it? Did you get it? I said, yes, I did. Did you take pictures? I did. Everything. And she said, yes. Then she said, let's go. I said, and the figure in the marble stone over there. I got to take picture of it. And she said, you are completely crazy. The priest will see. I said, he said, he won't. I said to her, he won't. Because I've got a plan. I've got a plan. And then I said, after the mass finished, you go, because we were sitting on the second mass, we were sitting in front. And I told her, as soon as the mass finished, you go talk to him. You go talk to the priest. She said, but Guilherme, I don't speak Italian. I said, that's great, because I'm sure that he doesn't speak Portuguese. He's going to be fine. He's going to be fine, because it's going to be great. Because I'm sure that you're going to try to talk to him. He's going to try to understand you. He's going to pay attention to you. And then we'll open the door and I'll take the picture of the marble. She said, you are crazy. I said, we're lovers. You got to trust on me. Please, do it. And she didn't answer anything. But I knew that she's going to do. So when the mass finished, she went there. When I looked into them, I went there and I opened the door, the two doors, and I saw the figure, the turban figure on the marble stone. It was there. And I had a table in front of the altar. I didn't use my self-stick. I just put my mobile phone above the table. And I was start taking the picture. When I looked back, when I looked there, they were coming. I tried to close the two doors, and the door got open again. I closed the door, it got open again. I was nervous because they were coming. I took the gun, I got the gun from my mouth, and I put the gun between those and closed the door. And I went there. And I went to outside, very happy because I did everything. When I got in the hotel, I showed the pictures to her, and she said, I think I sinned it. You made me sin. She said that. And now I got the movie here to show you. Let's watch the movie. You can turn off.
Dear people, we are here in Rome in front of the Church of the Sacred Heart of Suffrage. This church has a private museum, a secret museum that Catholic Church holds the secrets, information very locked. It's a museum that has records, apparitions of priests and nuns dead in Catholic environments. And now we're going to try to get inside of this museum. It's a secret museum that the Catholic Church has and proves the communication between the living and the dead. Within the Catholic Church, many priests, nuns, and bishops have never heard about this museum. The first person who got inside of this museum was our parapsychologist friend, Clovis Nunes, who got inside and took pictures of the museum. This report you all can even access in YouTube, like the title of Museum of Souls from Purgatory. You'll find the whole matter speaking about the church. And now, let's try to get inside and take some pictures for you all. This case occurred in Winnipeg, in Germany, at the Benedictine monastery, where the dead nun came into contact with the living nun. And for her to be sure it was not a dream, she put her hand in the habit, a kind of cloth, and burned it with fire, and left the mark so that she can really believe that it was a communication between the living and the dead. In this case, one more priest communicating with other priests in a Catholic environment. Father Pazzini was a priest at the San Francisco Monastery in Tardy, and he left the mark imprinted on a wood table out of his hand along with the cross. John Schitz, priest, communicated with his brother, also was a priest, asking for prayers because he was suffering in purgatory. And leave your hand on a Bible burning 9 pages with all four fingers.
Here you go. Self-stick. All that for us. Now everybody knows. And the bad news, there's a bad news to tell you. When I got back to Brazil, I received a text message from my girlfriend saying, "We are very different. I want to be alone." She finished the relationship by WhatsApp. It's unbelievable, but she did it. Just because of that. Yeah. Intolerance. But it was Kardec who gave the dignity to mediumship, showing them that mediumship is a faculty of sensory perception, which always existed. Until Kardec, the medium had no choice. Were witches or crazy. Kardec, who gave the dignity to the mediumship. And studying all those mediumistic phenomena, I got interested in of psychography, channeling through writing, which is the ability that the medium has to communicate with the spirit through handwriting. Psychography became very important to me after my research about Chico Xavier for 3 years. But before we start talking about my book, I forgot to tell you something. I asked you before if you know what's the most richest and organized Protestant church in America, and nobody answered. I'm going to tell you, it's the Mormon church. Yes, the Mormon church, yes. He is Joseph Smith. Because the mystery of the religion of Mormon is the communication between the living and the dead. When he was 5 years old, he saw a spirit in his bed, close to his bed, and he's saying that when he was adult, he will come, so he'll be able to tell their story. And when he was, I think over 20 years or 23 years old, the spirits came to him. The spirits came to him and said, "You are a prophet of the new age. And you're going to tell the history of our people. Because we used to live with Moses on the desert, and we were dissidents because we were very tired, because we were walking, looking for the promised land, and we didn't find it. And then we decided to separate. And we came to Asia, crossed to Alaska, Canada, until we got here in the U.S. And we were all dead by the Indians and pestis. But the history of our people is written in plates of gold, which is buried. And the spirit told him where it was. He went there to dig it and took out the plates. And the spirit was reading, and he wrote the Mormon book, which is a wonderful book. It's a wonderful book. And I went there. I went to Salt Lake City to see the religions. Very interesting. And I went also to North Carolina. And I went to speak in a spiritual church, and after they took me to the Mormon church, I went to visit because they don't know much about out of U.S. The Mormons, they just leave their world. When I finished talking, a man came to me, said, "Are you from Brazil?" I said, "Yes." And he said, "Have you seen many Indians walking around your house?" I was. "The last Indian I saw on TV watching an American movie," I told him. And there's another lady who came, because I'm serious. They don't know much. They just knows about Mormons, all that stuff, all their religion. Yeah. And there's a lady. There had a lady came, and then she looked at me, and asked, "Do you have cannibals in Brazil?" Oh, I was so angry with that. I was so angry. And I said, but I gave her a good answer. I said, "The last I ate." That's what I said. I did that. And the guy said, "Oh, but you speak a pretty good English." He goes, "Well, because I was an exchange student in North Carolina, and I spent all day in West Palm Beach, Florida." So the Mormons are, the mystery of Mormons is the communication between the living and the dead. So you see, the communication is everywhere. It's everywhere. So after studying psychography, I decided to publish my book. And after 5 years studying and investigating 40 cases and 23 mediums in Brazil, I decided to publish this book here. And the name is Psychography Investigate Cases. I chose 3 mediums: Rogério Leite and his wife, Marli Mancini, and Orlando Noronha. Rogério and Orlando started their mediumship journey with Chico Xavier. I think I've got his picture here of Orlando. He's a good friend of mine today. We talk every day. He's a very good medium. Oh, this is him when he was younger with Chico. He's a very serious medium. Orlando Noronha. You can check in the internet. You can put his name, put down his name. You're gonna see his work. He got some books, and he goes to do psychography work. He sells his books. When he received the money from the books, he gives back. He makes a deposit on the institution account. He gives all the money to them. He take a picture of the deposit and send to me. You see how serious he is. So I investigated 40 cases, and I choose 5 cases to put in my book. The first case is about a little girl called Carol. She was 1 year and a half years old, living in Dallas, Texas. She woke up one day with a pain in her neck. Her mother took her to a doctor. They did an MRI test and discovered that she had a cancer. After 6 months, she died. Her mother, Elisângela, a Brazilian woman living in Dallas with her husband and 2 children. Elisângela became very depressive. She got a place in the living room where she used to put a picture of her daughter with a flower. And every day, she used to change the flower, put another one. She has been doing that for almost a year. So after 1 year, she decided to take a vacation to Brazil. Her husband could not go and decided to take her to the airport. When she got inside of the car, she realized that she didn't put a flower in front of the picture. And she asked her to stop the car, and she went inside and got the flower and put in front of the picture. And she went to the airport and then to Curitiba, Brazil. And she stayed in Curitiba. After 10 days in Brazil, she was invited to Orlando Noronha's psychography event. She decided to go. 300 people watching on the audience. She just wrote down the name of her daughter, the date of birth, and death. That's all, in a piece of paper. And about 300 people. And the medium received 10 letters from the spirits. The last letter was Carol, Elisangela's daughter, who wrote through the medium's hands. And the letter is with plenty of details. She said things that only her mother knew. And you're going to watch the video with Elisangela that I've got here. You can turn off the light.
Hi, my name is Elisangela. I'm Carol's mother.
Louder.
I tell my whole history in Guilherme's book, from the beginning of my daughter's illness to the time I met Orlando, who is a medium that psychographed my daughter's little letter. In this book, I put a picture, a drawing that my daughter made for me. This led me to believe that it was really her who was there at the time, right to me. Here behind me, I have a space that is hers, so I have the photo. I always put flowers for her, and that is the little flower laying with her picture frame. At the time of the psychography, I received her little drawing, and that I found it so, had everything to be her, because nobody knew that I had this place in my house with those details. And I got this drawing. I will show you. This is also in the Guilherme's book. It's her picture with the little flower beside her photo. So at this time, I was sure it was my daughter who was there.
Look,
and from this time, I make myself sure that she was well, she was alive, and that helped me a lot.
With a flower in front of it.
So today I believe in this. I believe that today she doesn't have pain. She's alive, she's well, and she is always by my side. And I believe in it. Well, in the Guilherme's book, that is the whole history. I hope it helps the people who are going through this, or who have already gone through it. And hopefully, people can try to walk with the truth that all children are alive. And that's it. I hope you can read Guilherme's book. Thanks.
Well, we've got 5 cases. You see, the picture and the flower was at her house in Dallas, Texas. And the medium was in Curitiba, south of Brazil. The medium doesn't know anything about that situation. So it's impossible to the medium knows that picture and that flower. So it's just amazing. Well, the second case, I'm gonna be faster here because of the time, but I'm not gonna show because I've got other mothers, but I'm gonna just show this movie here because of the time. The second case is another girl, Maria Laura, 2 years old, from Pedro Leopoldo, Minas Gerais, Brazil. Her family went to spend summer in Bahia, and she got dengue. And after 2 weeks, she passed away. And she gave a letter to the medium saying details that only her mother knew. It's on the book. It was the second case. And I think I'm just going to show the figure, not going to put all the movie because it's going to take so long.
Hi, my name is Elisangela. I'm Carol's.
Cynthia is the mãe of Maria Laura's mother.
Hello, I'm Cynthia, Maria Laura's mother.
Just to show you, we've got no time. The third one, the third case, a mother, Cristina, from Niterói, Rio de Janeiro, had a son called Davi, who died with leukemia with 23 years old. When he was alive, he used to write poems. He communicated through the medium and wrote poems the same style, very similar. And the signature in life is very similar to the signature after that. Look. Look the signature. And the medium never seen the mother, the family. For the first time, he received the letter and gave the signature. It's not similar, but it looks like. You see the D and the A. It's very similar. And after all, you can just leave it off. And after his mother received the letter, she decided to build a non-profit organization called Davi Good Samaritan House. And I think I've got here a picture. Oh, this is Davi. And he's the organization, Da Vida, Casa do Bom Samaritano. See how the letter changed her life. How the letter changed, how the truth that her son still alive changed her life. Oh, that's the fourth case. It's a 21 years old boy from Bahia. The medium Orlando Noronha wrote this letter. Pedro Paulo, his name, used to work in a shoes factory as a designer. And he died when he was going to separate his best friend from a fight. He took a shot here. Someone hit him, and he got dead. He used to create designs for shoes. There were so many details that only the family knew. At the end of the letter, the medium draws a shoes with the wings and wrote, "Now the shoes goes to heaven." Look that. Can you believe that? And the medium doesn't know anything about it, about the guy. And her mother told me that he draw these shoes when he was 9 years old. Just unbelievable. Just unbelievable. And the last case is this one here. The fifth case. It's about a girl called Gislaine, 20 years old, from São Paulo, which was raped, murdered, and quartered. It's her mother, Annie. The killer was a neighbor, and he is free until today. It's a tragic case. Her mother, called Annie, was looking for justice, and she wanted to tell the case of her daughter. And the medium Rogério Leite told me about her, and gave my phone number. And she decided to call me every day, asking to put her story on my book. And I decided to do it. Because she said to me, "I only will have peace and rest when you release your book with the story of my daughter." So I decided to write the story. She used to call me every day. "Come on, when the book is ready?" I said, wait. So we supposed to release my book in New York City last year. And they just gave me the books like 24 hours before the trip. I have no time to put the book in the mail to send to her. And I called her and said, I'll send you as soon as I got back. I promise you. And then I took the plane. And when I came back, I went to the post office with the book. And I went to send the book. And the mailman asked me, "Do you want to get there faster, to pay to get there faster?" It's going to get there in 3 days. But it was very expensive. I said, "No, I wanted the cheapest one." And I paid. And how long was going to take it? It's only 7 days. Said, "Great, this one." And I sent the book. 6 days after I post the book, one day before the book gets there, I receive a phone call from Rogério Leite saying that Annie had a heart attack and passed away. And she didn't see the book. But I understood when she said that she's only going to rest when I release the book. She waited until I released the book to die. Yeah. But that's true. What we have to pay attention here, you can turn on the light because I'm already finished. What we have to pay attention here is not the phenomenon itself, but it was behind the phenomenon. It shows that we are eternal beings. The phenomenon here shows that our father, our mother, our son are away just for a while. There will be this meeting again. I have no doubt. I have no doubt. This book is bringing consolation to a lot of people that are going to suffering. And also for those that not believe in life after death. This is Spiritism. John 14:16. And I'll ask the Father, and He will give you another advocate to help you, be with you forever. The Spirit of truth will not leave you as orphans, and will come to you. This consoler promised by Jesus is the Spiritism. It brings us relief because clarifies things for us. Spiritism doesn't leave us only with the faith. Spiritism put the knowledge in front of the faith. In the Spiritism we study, we learn, we understand. We understand. And we believe it's reasonable faith. We don't accept blind faith. It's been said, then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Huh? John 8:32. He didn't say believe in the truth, but to know the truth. Knowledge comes through studying, and this place is a spot of light. That's for sure. Spiritism is the new revelation. We have to take Spiritism out of Spiritist Center and take with us to everywhere. Today, Spiritism grow in this country. We have to do this. Last year, I was speaking in a spiritualist church in North Carolina. Always North Carolina. I had the best year of my life being an exchange student. And I spoke about 1 hour about Kardec. And they had never heard about him. In a spiritualist church, they believe in reincarnation. They believe in the communication between the living and the dead. They believe in obsession. They believe in everything that we do. And they don't know anything about Kardec. And I spoke about 1 hour talking about Kardec and his ideas. And when I finished, a man came to me, very interesting, this Brazilian author. Mr. Kardec, is there any material written in English? I said, no, he's not Brazilian, he's French. He's French. I never heard about it. What city in French does he live? So he died. He doesn't know anything about it. It's unbelievable. You have to do this. You here in America have to tell them about Kardec and about Spiritism. Why does not live and why they don't know about Kardec? Why they don't know about Kardec? This is a question. So we have to introduce the Spiritism as a new knowledge for humanity, not as a religion. Spiritism did not come to be a religion. Spiritism is the future of the religions. We are the workers of the last hour. We need to take the knowledge we learn here to our daily basis, to the society, to the school, to our jobs. Spiritist Center are not a church. It's a school. It's a school, of course. We are here to learn spiritual truth and make the inner reform. We've been speaking about those topics in a non-spiritism environment, and I just can do it because I use the scientific content. Like Kardec said, Spiritism is a philosophy with a scientific foundation and a religion's consequences. The religion's consequences is the port of arrival. Is where everything goes. It's not a basis. The basis is science. In the first chapter of the Gospel according with the Spiritism, Kardec says, the alliance of the science with religions, and keeps saying, Spiritism sees in the scientific discoveries the revelation of the laws of God. It could be in another book, but it wasn't the Gospel according of Spiritism. To understand Spiritism, we have to take Jesus as our role model to be a better person, of course. This is the purpose of Spiritism. Let's take Jesus out of the cross and let's bring him to walk with us. We're not children of original sin, of Adam and Eve. Because this original thing is kind of weird. Because God said, grow and multiply. And then Adam and Eve learned how to multiply. Then it became a sin. God gave the hint and punished. God was very cruel. We're not fallen angels, my friends. We are God in construction. We have the divine origin, and we will return to God. We are son of the lights. We're son of the lights. To be finished, I want to tell you a story. I was speaking about immortality to a non-spirit audience. When I finished, a woman came to me, and she was very sad. And I knew her before. I knew that she was very Catholic. And she said to me, Guilherme, on my daughter's birthday, 15 years old birthday, her only daughter, I went to buy a cake because we were going to have a party. When I came back home, I saw my daughter on the floor, died on the floor. She died. She was dying. She died. She was dead on the floor. She had a electric shock, and she got that. And she didn't know what to say. She got crazy. She was saying that it was 15 days ago. And she asked me, Guilherme, you are a spiritist. Tell me what to do. I confess you, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do. Tell me something. What do I have to say? What do I have to say in a situation like this? Nothing that I said will bring comfort. Will comfort that person. But I remember that she was very Catholic. And I said, you are Catholic, right? She said, yes. When you go home, before sleep, pray Mary. Pray to Mary. Have a conversation between mothers. Tell her about your pain. Tell what you're feeling. Tell her what you're feeling. Have a conversation between mothers, because Mary had the same pain that you do. That you did the same pain. Have a conversation with Mary. Pray, Mary. And she went away. After 15 days, I was walking the mall, and then I saw her. She came to me, and she said, hi, Guilherme. On that day, you said to pray Mary, to have a conversation between mothers, and I did it. I prayed Mary. I talked to Mary. I told her about my pain. And I went to sleep. On that night, I had a dream. I was dreaming. I was on the knee by my daughter's bed, and I was touching her legs, and she looks like older, about 20, 25, 26 years old. And I was screaming, saying, God, Mary, take my daughter. because I can't see her suffering with also cancer. I understood, Guilherme, what Mary said to me. My daughter died with 15 years old without pain, to not suffer that situation with 25 years old. She died without pain. I understood, Guilherme, what Mary said to me. I want to say thank you to Daniel. I want to say thanks for everybody here to hear me. I hope I can come back. It was a pleasure. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Guilherme. You can keep that one. You can keep with you for the moment being. If this is the moment that we would like to open for questions, comments, if you have any. Before, let's stand up. Stretch a little bit. This is not a punishment. This is supposed to be a talk, right? To learn, to share. We'll get there. We'll get there. Be careful what you wish for, because being tall. But I would like to, in the interim, as we're stretching, to say thank you for Guilherme for the beautiful research, working with these cases. As we see, there is a price in what slide? There is a price for everything that we do. Hard work, dedication, sometimes even losing the girlfriend, as he said. So be careful with that.
He's smiling because it wasn't with him.
Yes. So this is the moment that we can would like to open up for questions, comments that you may have. And we'll ask our friend Guilherme to answer it.
Thank you very much for your information. Yeah, the other day, very recently, I was thinking, because they were talking about Chico, discarnated. I said, well, how about the mothers that he was consoling so much? So who is doing his job? Because the mothers kept losing their child. They're suffering. So you say now that so Brazil has this luck to have this opportunity for mothers to go and be consoled. So my question is, how about here? We have also mothers that they lose children, they're sick. Who are consoling them? Because we are so few right here. So what they're doing, how they're surviving here. In Europe, for instance.
Yes.
If they even don't know Kardec.
Yeah, I don't know any medium here who I trust to do this job, because here in America they used to receive money to do it. So in Brazil they do for free. And on my research, I've been meeting 23 mediums in Brazil. And I tell you what, I've been meeting real good mediums, but I've been finding some frauds, some fake mediums. And mediums who got 100,000 followers at Facebook make money with selling books. And it's very difficult. We cannot trust in everything. And I know the good ones, and I know the bad ones. and I'm gonna tell you good news. On April 7th, we're gonna have an event here in New York at the United Nations headquarters. It's a Spiritist event. And Orlando Noronha is gonna be there doing channeling through writing. and you're going to have the opportunity to know him and watch me again because I'll be there speaking. No. April 7, 2019. Next year, yeah. Yeah, you can have plenty time to arrange everything, and everybody goes there. He's going to be there doing psychography. Anyone else?
Anyone else would like to ask a question, a comment?
You can do it again. You can do it again.
Yes, so you call attention our job here, because we seems to be so small, but we're growing. So the symposium, all this that you're now bringing, I think is the little thing to point to the non-Portuguese speaking people, Americans or European, to know about. Because through suffering, they will look for consolation. So I think it's an obvious place. This place is very, we can attract. So I think you're right. Our job is really, although it seems so simple, it has this, role to raise the awareness in some place that we even don't expect to raise awareness. You never know who is there.
Yes. What I can tell you that I've been speaking most of Spiritist Center here in America, and I know that here in America they don't practice much the mediumship. They don't do psychography. They don't want to do it. I don't know the reason, but we gotta respect. But I think we could bring some of those mediums to America sometimes, because I'm sure that they're going to write in English. Yeah, they do, even if they don't speak English. But when they receive a spirit, yeah, I know I've got a friend, a medium friend who did a psychography in Japanese. Yeah, I've got it here in my phone. I'm sure you're going to finish. I'm going to show you. But the big problem in Brazil is about the frauds today, because there's some mediums in Brazil. They take the information using the internet, Facebook, Google, and they go there and take the information. For example, they're going to speak in Rio de Janeiro, so they have their front page with 180,000 people on their front page, in his front page, and he says there that he's going to be in Rio de Janeiro. So everybody in Rio de Janeiro goes to his page, starts following him. So when you follow him, he can see everything from your profile. And you say that you're going to be at the meeting. Oh, I'll be there because I want to receive a letter from my mom. So he already know that you're going to be there. So he goes in your profile, get all the information. Yeah. And when you go there, you don't do interview, because those mediums who is doing this kind of fraud, they don't do interview. So the people gets there for the first time and see it and never been here, and then receive a letter. It's a miracle. And we know how they do. We know how they do. And that's too bad. No, I've got good mediums in my book.
So
good cases. I don't try to promote the mediums on my book, but the cases, because mediumship, you can have the mediumship today, but you can lose it. Kardec says that. Yeah? So I cannot say that my book is promoting the mediums. My book is psychography investigated cases. So I'm talking about the cases. The cases is 100% for sure that they are real cases.
Thank you, Guilherme.
Come on, you gotta ask me something.
Yes, we ask, and I also
know how to cook black beans.
and also make a comment. I just want to go back and make a comment about the psychography here in the U.S. Just to clarify that, majority of the Spirit Center that has mediumship meeting, we have psychography.
Here?
Here and the other center that I've been visiting. not the psychography like in Brazil that you present to the public.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, here in the Spiritist Society of Maryland, what we do, so when we receive a message that we analyze the message, we share with our community. And sometimes we send to our mail list. We don't publish in newsletter unless it's something very broad. And some of the Spirit Center here in the US do this, very discreet. But you're right, we don't do the kind of meetings that we have, you know, open, public, like channel, psychography like we have in Brazil. I believe as the movement grows, it's possible that mediums is going to show up or have new mediums that will do this and validate. But at this moment in the movement, I think would be not helpful because we're going to have our facility full of people with curiosity to receive a letter.
Yes.
And then we're going to be in trouble.
I agree.
We couldn't.
Because you are here in the U.S. You know what the Spiritism here needs. You know better than anyone. The Spiritist Council, they know what they really need. So we got to respect, because I think that they're doing a great job here. That's what I think. I've been in many good places. I was yesterday with Vanessa Ancelon in her institution, and it's amazing. Her job with the cardiac radio, the magazine, she's doing a great job. And many other people. Norma Guimarães here in New York City, I've been there 5 times. She's doing wonderful work. People in Florida, the Eliseu is a good friend of mine. Marisa Liborio, Yonara Eluigi Rocha, Broward Spiritist Society. So I've been making a lot of friends here in America.
Thank you, Guilherme. That was great and enlightening, and I already started reading part of your book as well. It's very fascinating, and it's good to show that these things exist. I mean, it's a pillar of Spiritism. So this is more of a comment, not a question. It is a pillar of Spiritism, the communicability with the spirits, and I think it also. Spiritism, for myself, growing up here in the U.S., being born in the U.S., and growing up in Spiritism, we see that the necessity of the morality behind it all, the importance of that, because charlatanism has existed since the 1800s or before, probably, I'm sure, and everywhere. So just kind of piggyback on what Daniel said as well. I think that, there's so much beauty to Spiritism. And I'm so glad these kind of books are coming out as well to sort of call attention, and hopefully people will study and learn the consoling message itself, to sort of talk what Jaska was talking about, these mothers that are grieving. I've always understood is that, people who don't have any knowledge whatsoever of the beyond and come to know that there exists something, the possibility is hugely and largely consoling, because before they may not have ever crossed their mind. So it's a beautiful thing that things are like this is being showcased, and I thank you for writing the book and sharing your experiences.
Don't forget what I said on my speech. We gotta look behind the phenomenon. What the phenomenon tells, because the most important thing in the Spiritism is our inner reform. And we got to learn what the phenomenon tells us to learn. You got to pay attention to that. Okay? Anyone else?
Everybody's quiet. It's good. Well, thank you again, Guilherme, for this
thank you
beautiful
so
talk.
much. I really enjoyed
it's
it.
Definitely a moment of reflections for all of us. Personally, I would like to thank for the example that you gave with the last example that you gave. Sometimes we think that being a spiritism is to go and say there are spirits, right? But I think one of the things that we learn here, especially on a Thursday, since we do the spirits study of the spirits book, is to understand the other side before we try to expose ourselves. This Catholic mother, right? you talk to her in her language, much like the Apostle Paul used to do with all of those who he met, and he went after and helped them, talking to them in their own language, bringing himself to their feet instead of bringing people to understand ourselves. So I think that is a huge example that we would like to exemplify and to put forth when we come and we listen about Spiritism, to be this mind, this heart that is always cherishing, right?
Yes.
Eternity, not